Sony cancels 8 different live service games. That is amazing.
You know, when you look at how Sony has been handling live services, when you look at the culmination of their plans, it really makes you realize, man, executives should really be paid less because some of these folks
Communism. Man, Young can't really survive even 10 seconds now bringing it up, huh? Sad.
really have no freaking clue what they're doing. It was only 2 years ago.
The CEOs are dumb. The people who make the games are smart. They never make mistakes, but CEOs always, okay? And if a game is good, then the CEO should not be paid, but the developers should be. And if the game is bad, the CEO should not be paid, but developers should be. I can't.
That Sony had the intent to launch more than 10 live service games by 2026. This number
Oh, look at that. It's Bungie, the thing that Sony regrets buying.
was eventually specified to be 12 live service games by 2025, as noted by this particular PowerPoint slide, where you can see right here projected numbers of SIE live service franchises by year. The plan being to start with the actual number that was the number of live services on.
Oh, they made a mistake. They wrote Spider-Man Miles Morales, not Miles Morales. Huh, that's strange.
Fiscal year 2021, and then by fiscal year 2025, which would bleed into 2026 year-wise, that is 12 live services. This was the plan on the part of Sony executives. As if the market of live services wasn't saturated enough, the fact that one company was planning to release 12 by 2026, utterly insane. People don't have the time or money to invest in so many live services at once. That's the thing about live services, is they're each their own.
Well, it's not like Sony's trying to get one person to play the 12 games. I mean, Young, I don't know how you're missing this, but those games would not be the same genre. They would not, like, they would not overlap with each other that much, you know? I mean, geez, Young, please. I know communists are notoriously bad at thinking, but my dude.
Individual part-time to full-time jobs, and there are only so many jobs that people can do at the same time, if you will. Now, for Sony, those plans were not going as smoothly as they expected. So on November of 2023, it was reported that Sony's plan to release 12 live services by 2026 got halved to just 6. And if the latest reports are to be believed, it seems as though Sony is continuing to cancel more and more live service projects as they begin to realize just how not viable releasing so many live services is, especially with their propensity to fail. The following information was reported by investigative journalist Jason Schreier, who reported on this Bloomberg article that Sony has canceled 2 more live services. One of them that was being made by Ben Studio. That's the studio that made Days Gone. They were apparently working on a new live service game for Sony. And then the other live service that was shut down was being made by Blue Point Games, who many will recognize as the developers of the well-received Demon Souls remake. As for what these 2 studios were working on, we don't—
Oh my god, someone didn't fail the easiest thing in the world. A remake? Wow, let's put that company up on a pedestal. Now, who cares? Who literally cares?
don't know what Ben Studios was developing, but we do know that Bluepoint, according to Jason Schreier, after the launch of Demon Souls Remake in 20—
Ah, look at that. It's the cockroach Jason Schreier. Oh boy.
20, they helped with the development of God of War Ragnarok, and then after that, Bluepoint actually started development on a live service God of War game. Sony basically wants every one of their major franchises to have some kind of live service. But now we know that both of those projects have been canceled, and so if we look at the—
I talked about this, hot take, but I don't think a God of War live service is that bad. I don't think most live services are that bad. Most people like live services. I play a lot of live services. You play a lot of live services. Live service doesn't mean it's on instantaneously bad. Like a God of War Ragnarok live service, yeah, it's definitely not what you expect from a God of War game, but At the same time, there's so many things that you can do in it. It's a universe at the end of the day. So there's so many options. It doesn't need to be bad just because it's a live service.
The slate of Sony's live services that have been canceled, that have just gone astray, it's now a significant list. Here we have Twitter user Kami, who compiled a list of canceled PlayStation or SIE live service games in roughly the last year alone. So we have Concord, which did technically launch, but it was shut down just 2 weeks after launch, and it gave everyone refunds, no questions asked.
Yeah, the Concord tax is still well in our minds.
It made zero revenue, might as well have been canceled, you know what I mean? It really didn't have much of a life. Then we have that unannounced God of War game that Jason Schreier reported on recently. That got canceled. And then there's the Last of Us multiplayer game that I reported on some time back that also got canceled, with Naughty Dog putting out a statement saying that they want to focus on what they do best, which is single-player, campaign-driven, story-heavy experiences, which I think is the right move. There was a Spider-Man 2 multiplayer game that was also in development. I think it was called like The Great Web or something, according to the Insomniac leaks. That got canceled as well. Then there's the Ben Studio multiplayer game that Jason Schreier reported on recently. There's a Twisted Metal live service game that also got canceled. London Studios co-op game. Not only did the live service they were making get canceled, but the studio got closed down. Then there's Deviation Games multiplayer game that also got canceled, alongside this project called Payback, which was being developed by Bungie, and it was supposed to be this.
Yeah, Payback is supposed to. Payback initially was rumored to be Destiny 3, or something along those lines that fits in the Destiny sphere. That was supposed to be unironically payback to Sony and make them succeed, and so Sony loses control over Bungie.
Third-person Destiny spin-off that also got canceled. So right here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 live services that have been canceled in roughly the last year. I think it's safe to say that Sony will be hard-pressed to meet their quota of 6 live services by fiscal year 2025, and they certainly never stood a chance.
Bro, you don't even know what fiscal year means.
In releasing 12 live services by the end of fiscal year 2025. You don't have to be an executive, a CEO, or a genius, frankly.
Also, I myself don't actually understand is it even possible to put in a live service launch in a fiscal year, and that I don't even know if that's the thing that can be actually done. I'm not sure.
To realize that 12 live services by fiscal year 2025 was unfeasible and frankly just a stupid idea across the board. Many of those live services would not be guaranteed success, with Concord being Exhibit A, and not to mention that with so many live services from the same company...
What do you mean, Young? You don't believe in Vogue? Concord was a success. It was just the evil Nazi chud gamers who didn't like strong, independent women of color.
They would kind of cannibalize each other. They would be competing against each other for people's limited time and money. And I mean, looking at all of these canceled projects, it feels like such a waste of manpower, of money, of resources that could have gone to projects that are far better suited for the studios under SIE's umbrella.
Yeah, like establishing communism throughout the land, seizing the means of production. Ain't that right, Yongi?
Another list by Radek that highlights how many of the live service projects that Sony...
Destruction All-Stars? The hell is that? Gran Turismo 7. Oh, that's a live service, too.
Interactive Entertainment have been developing have been canceled or taken offline or shut down, versus the ones that have been released. Only 3 have really released recently. Destruction All-Stars, Gran Turismo 7, and Helldivers 2, with Helldivers being one of their, if not their biggest live service success. And then the rest of them are either unannounced or TBD or canceled altogether. There are still a few things in the pipeline, like the Horizon multiplayer live service game that Guerrilla Games is working on. There's a Horizon MMO from NC Soft. There's Marathon from...
A Horizon MMO is going to flop. Because Horizon is too generic. What exactly are you supposed to do in Horizon? Kill a big dinosaur looking like... Sure, that's it? A Horizon Zero Dawn is actually kind of good because, I mean, damn, you can pimp out Aloy pretty hard. Not gonna lie, boys. Okay. Woo, boy. Woo. Okay, listen, it is what it is. Not gonna lie, you can pimp out Aloy pretty hard. But by that, the Horizon Zero Dawn story was actually kind of okay, right? It's pretty decent. It's kind of generic, but it does the job good enough. But the world of Horizon Zero Dawn is as bland because of the story being as generic as it comes. So, what the hell do you even do in a Horizon MMO? No clue. Nothing, probably.
Bungie, there's fair games from.
It really seemed if a Horizon MMO happens, I can already see people saying, "Well, it failed because it should have been a single player game, not an MMO." That's it.
From Haven Studios, and then a couple unannounced things like Media Molecule's live service game, Bungie's Gummy Bears, which has been leaked to be some kind of like MOBA-esque game that Bungie is developing, according to investigative journalists and reporters. And then we have Jason Blundell's LA studio game, whatever that may end up being. But yeah, I mean, this is not a good streak. And I think part of what triggered the sudden cancellation of 2 more live services, as recently reported, is Concord's failure, which cannot be understated. We're talking about a live service that cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make and made zero revenue. The initial development deal for the game was just over 200.
I mean, it technically made whatever is 10K times. Well, how much did it cost? Like 50, 40, 60, 70 bucks? AK worst case scenario 40 fucking thousand. Best. Oh no, wait. How much did I say? 400,000 best case scenario. 700,000. I don't fuck. It's really, really, really not good at all.
$100 million.
Because it sold roughly 10K copies. Roughly.
As reported here by Kotaku based on sources they spoke to. And that amount was not enough to cover the game's entire development and did not include the purchase of Concord IP rights or Firewalk Studios itself. Colin Moriarty reported that based on the sources he's spoken to, if you add
and that is 400 mil.
Everything up, Concord's cost is closer to roughly $400 million. And again, it made zero revenue because whatever few copies Concord did manage to sell, whatever units it did manage to push, they refunded anyway. So every penny that went into the development cost of the game was just a big money sink. And you've also got journalists like Jeff Grubb reporting that based on sources that he's heard from, a big part of why some of the
last time Jeff Grubb did anything was just steal from Smash JT, and that's pretty much it. That's a loser.
Recent games as service cancellations have happened is because of what happened with Concord. According to him, Sony was shocked by Concord, and now they're going around to all the PlayStation studios and reevaluating every project.
Yeah, this does make sense because, again, they thought that Concord is unironically going to be the real GTA 6. They thought it's the COD killer. They thought that this is the future of gaming. They thought that Concord is going to replace Overwatch and all of this stuff. The toxic positivity inside the development studio that made Concord was through the roof. And they somehow gaslit PlayStation so hard that they decided to buy the company that made the game. Because just paying them to make the game wasn't enough. They decided, oh my god, this is gonna be the next big thing. We're gonna just buy it. That's why this costs 400 million. Because 200 mil was for the company buying, and 200 mil was for the development. Because they unironically gaslit PlayStation so hard that they thought that this is really the future. And they probably thought that they got the future for cheap. Well, they did get something, but it wasn't the future and it wasn't cheap. So, there you go. And after, obviously, this, they have to reevaluate everything. Because, again, they really thought this. They really thought that Concord is the next big step in gaming. It is crazy.
And if it's a games as a service, there's a lot of friction that's preventing it from having a chance to come out. Now, Sony does have a big win with Helldivers 2, which is a title that they were not expecting
Something that they tried to kill.
It to achieve the level of success that it did. But Concord basically canceled out Helldivers 2's success as a live service. Hell, I'd say Helldivers 2's success probably doesn't make up for Concord's massive failure. Someone who recently provided more insight.
Yes, that is, by the way, 100% correct. I can't... no, I can't really speculate how correct that is, but yes. Helldivers has not made up for 400 million loss of Concord, plus itself.
On behind.
I mean, it's probably kind of soon-esque in like a year or two, but no.
The scenes goings-ons at Sony Interactive Entertainment was Shuhei Yoshida, who spoke to Kind of Funny Games in a recent interview where he said the following about all of the developments surrounding live services for Sony and all of their...
Okay, whatever, Young. Shut up. Everyone gets it. Live service, bad communism, good. Anyway, that was Young! Yeah.
Young out.
Beautiful. Anyway, that was Young. 10 out of 10. Bye.